And I love how they keep that skull in there. That is such a fun logo.
Gotta get inside the settlement. I'm not leaving ugly. Go!
Love how it calls the horse ugly. I realize it's not a horse, but for all intents and purposes, it's a horse.
The wind's tearing everything apart.
So now one of the things they actually did, I'm just not really good at it right now, is they actually made it so you can run up and hit B to vault over things without having to
Now we gotta knock it down.
in order to like make it a little bit smoother here. Of course I can do a little bit of damage to myself.
Lightning flurry.
Don't let him touch you.
We should be okay here. Oh yeah? You're fine, okay.
Not immediately dead.
Holy shit!
Now it's also important to say that we are not on Earth. We're actually on a planet known as Sarah, which is very similar to Terra, so I'm not really going to say it's not Earth. And that's like the new super hurricane pop-up thunderstorms.
Everyone okay? Kate still has her hat? Good. Good.
Oh, sorry about that. It's a giant walnut falling on me.
You stay
Mouse.
here, okay?
Now, like I said, no one in this game is small for the most part. Everyone who was a soldier, you can see it by the giant beefy arms that they have, including him there. And they actually do a really good job of explaining, like, oh, hey, why do some of them have tattoos? Why do some of them not? He's from, like, the islands to the south.
Need you, right? Raina told Dell and me to do this, not you.
Sorry, smart guy. Where she goes, I go.
I don't need a babysitter, Uncle.
Then call me a chaperone.
How about I call you hungover?
Oh, you got some chuff, boy, don't you?
Uncle, you're obviously hungover.
Actually, I'm still a little drunk.
And that is the new gear symbol there. So you can definitely see, like, things have changed. It's no longer the skull. It's no longer that we're constantly at war. Now it's, here's a unified front. We have the gears. We got to remember the cog and the gear.
Cog settlements are built from the inside out.
But
which means the
here's
fabrication
like the phoenix rising out of it, or the eagle. I'm not sure what it
You
is.
can count on a lot of security DBs in there.
There hasn't been an outsider raid in 6 months. We'll have the element of surprise.
You can't surprise the robots, my guy.
We used to command DBs, remember?
Oh yeah, like a settlement too.
Hey, that wasn't their fault.
So we know that obviously something with Settlement 2, something happened that is wrong. And they're like, they commanded DBs, which are robots. So why were these two commanding robots? What were they? You know, when did robots get involved? I know a lot of people didn't like that as much when that got announced in this game. However, thematically and with the tone, I really enjoy this. I'm going to actually say that this is probably one of the... This game shows you a successful dystopian society. Realize that might sound as an oxymoron, but with that being said...
He doesn't see us.
With that being said, a dystopian society is typically something that's very dark, very grimy, where you lose a lot of your autonomy, you lose a lot of everything that is technically called your freedoms there, and that's what is given up in order to secure safety.
I did 15 years in the cog. Highly decorated. Maybe I'd like to discuss with Jin the so-called war you say she was looking to start.
Or our other option, not getting caught. Ladders. We're going back up.
So I do like there where he talks about, like, so we know that he's been with the cog. He's 15 years with them, and he's decorated. So why is he now raiding cog settlements? And we get to explain here, like, hey, the cogs use these giant mechs in order to...
Building so fast.
Good thing that was a builder and not a watcher.
I
And-
should be fine. I think I know how to avoid watching.
They're using the DBs here in order to build or these drones here in order to build settlements, because everything was decimated. As we saw with the locusts, they pretty much destroyed all of our civilizations.
Remain where you are.
Ah, shit.
Shepherds will escort you from the premises.
And here we get to see the shepherds. We get to see what these robots look like. And they look very humanoid. They are still wearing some of the...
No citizens here.
Really?
What? Citizen implies we claim allegiance to a centralized authority. I think of myself as part of an anarcho-collective.
Citizen, your act of violence has been noted.
That is one of the most, like, asshole-ish intelligent statements that they'll be saying.
I don't think so.
So these DBs here are set up to be, like, the new enemies. And I was like, okay, we're now fighting robots. I don't understand where, like, the robots are coming from with it. But I'm not going to say that it's bad. And the robots actually feel pretty good, especially coming off of the fact that we just got done fighting a war, and we need to build things, and you saw that giant storm. So that really makes it think, like, okay, if we're fighting those storms, what does it actually take for us to do something? Like, how hard is it for us, and what's going on in the planet? So I do enjoy the use of these robots, and they do kind of feel very Terminator 2-ish, or Terminator-esque, not Terminator 2. With how they like just walk up on you and feel unstoppable. Now those will take cover. There are some later ones that definitely feel more like the T-100. By the way, that giant mech is just freaking cool as shit. I'll go back over here because I don't know where I'm going. Probably through the door with the green light. Ta-da!
Shit.
So I do really, really like how the... I do love how the, I love how the robots are building everything, and that's what we're contending with, is the fact that it's completely automated, because it, honestly, you think about it, if you can have a drone workforce because you guys have been decimated due to a giant mole people invasion, why not do it? It actually seems like one of the smarter options that you could actually have. And like I said, we're not wearing the armor that was being worn in the beginning of the game, which is something that I do also enjoy about this. So it does make it feel like we don't belong to the COG anymore, and it does make it feel like, hey, not everything is as hunky-dory as it should be, especially after us just coming off and defeating the Locust as well as we just did. And the other thing with having all the robots here is it lends yourself to believe that society is very strictly watched and highly governed, because that came out of that little cog symbol up there. So if those are...
You miss your old friends?
And the fact that they just have all of these robots so readily available, it really makes you like wonder what all freedoms are given up to secure people's safety. Like I said, I don't mind that they take away, that they, in this game, after everything that's happened, maybe it is a little bit more of a dictatorship. Because they've been fighting a war for survival. And generally when it comes to needing to survive, you'll sacrifice your liberties in order to make sure that you can... to make sure you can assure that people will be okay.
That wasn't me.
You sure you two aren't COG spies?
Oh, please. You think the COG invented reading flares?
You saying they didn't? Well, even if you are spies, at least we didn't have to teach you how to fight.
Yeah, what is the deal with you outsiders? Most Arenas people couldn't fight their way out of bed.
Oh, you don't want Uncle teaching anyone. He taught me to fight. He's lucky I still speak to him.
Hey, I was very supportive.
That's one way to describe it. Not an accurate way, but a way.
So I like the idea that he probably taught her how to fight like he was taught how to fight in the military, which means that which means it was ruthless. It wasn't necessarily a like, oh yeah, this is how you throw a punch. This is how you wipe somebody out. That's what you need to do. You need to be willing to just take somebody off. You need to bite off their ear, bite off their goddamn ear. Do whatever it takes to win. Which is good. That's the way you should fight. The only way you should ever fight is to win. There is no... I'm of the firm belief that there is no such thing as like an honor in a fight. Because you should be fighting to win. And everything will be dictated by the winner. I will let you know if I won, if I was honorable. So like I said, these guys will take cover, but they also will come like staggering out at you. And now I am taking them out a little bit easier here, but at the same time, they don't necessarily have to fear. And that to me is a really good way to do an enemy, and one of the reasons why I'm like, okay, it would be good to have a robot guarding a settlement, because they're not going to fear. They can stun these people, escort them out, capture them, or what have you, and that'll just be it. I like the fact that they have ammo inside the, that they have the ammo inside of those little buggies there, because, like, oh, you're transporting these robots that are all using guns. It makes sense that we'd have some extra ammo in there for them. Let's do this. Hop over. Yep. Like I said, I love the DMR. I actually really like the style in this game of just how it feels to aim and shoot and do different things of a similar nature. No, blue, so that means he belongs to me. But here's the other thing here. When we're looking at this, oh, the DBs are orange. Okay, they do have an orange tint to them. I thought the DB looked more blue than it did orange, so I was going to be like, oh. Obviously, they're not necessarily evil, they're just not working for us. Or it's yellow. It's not the red that you saw the Locusts have. Like, the Locusts clearly have that, like, red color to them.
More DBs.